trucks that tackle impossible terrain with ultra-heavy loads, drivers who have defied all barriers of logic by performing impossible feats, and a man who performed a stunt so chilling it will leave you speechless. Get ready to meet these incredible drivers who did otherworldly things. Number 15. An amazing story. There's no better way to start this top than by learning the story of Bartek Ostolowski, an incredible Polish driver who has defied the law of logic by becoming a professional driver for his country despite having no arms. Yes, you heard it right. This legendary driver suffered a serious accident at the age of 20 in which he almost lost his life. Luckily, the ambulance arrived in time and managed to keep him stable, although to do so they were forced to amputate his arms. This seemed like the end of this man's dreams, but perseverance can face the most demanding challenges, and after several years of training, this young pilot achieved the impossible. Thanks to a prosthesis implanted in his shoulder, this Polish man has become one of the best pilots in his field. His driving skills are extraordinary. He moves the steering wheel with his left foot, his right foot accelerates, and he makes the gear changes from his shoulder, all in perfect synchrony and without anything preventing him from demonstrating his amazing talent. Unquestionably, this is one of the most incredible drivers in the world, a man who has been able to completely destroy the meaning of the impossible. Number 14. Extreme transportation. Have you ever wondered how the heaviest and most difficult materials on our planet are transported? You probably haven't, but you should start doing so, since that nice piece of furniture you bought today at the store probably started its journey in the cargo cabin of one of these mighty trucks. Transporting wood is one of the most difficult jobs in the world. Tree trunks don't bend or break. They stay in one position in one size permanently, and moving them over dirt roads and narrow places in the mountains isn't an experience you could ever enjoy. Every day, thousands of drivers defy the laws of nature and perform skillful pirouettes to negotiate the adversity of the roads and bring materials to industries from the furthest places you can imagine. Number 13. Challenge on two wheels. Riding motorcycles is probably one of the biggest challenges when it comes to racing. Accidents in this type of competition are 5 times higher than any other sector, and that's why the daily feats performed by its riders leave us open-mouthed. One of the most extraordinary riders of all times is Portuguese rider Paulo Goncalves. Considered the tamer of nature and difficult terrain, Goncalves won 23 motocross and supercross titles and at least a dozen other competitions. The videos of his stunts continue to amaze the most veteran riders, and almost all of us continue to marvel at his enormous ability to dodge death and danger in every curve. The most extraordinary thing is that he drove in all types of terrain across every continent on our planet. There was nothing he couldn't do when he was behind his motorcycle, and for all this, his fame is still more alive than ever. Number 12. Tractor skidding. Who said tractors can't be worthy of racing competitors? This group of engineers decided to defy the logic of the automotive industry by taking an old 1956 tractor and rebuilding it to match the power of modern race cars. The result was a 225 horsepower tractor that completely surprised all onlookers when it went into action. The tractors traced exaggeratedly steep curves at breakneck speeds in the middle of the field. Their pirouettes are identical to any car they are compared to and prove that any vehicle can become a worthy competitor with the right technology and the right driver. Number 11. Muddy terrain. There's no question that buses are extraordinary machines that require great capabilities to be driven the right way. Such a huge size can become a danger in a matter of seconds, especially if their drivers have to move forward on such unstable terrains as these. In Asia and South America, buses are forced to move on unstable roads, muddy mountains, and areas where the weather has ravaged nature in such a way that moving through it is a challenge. However, people must reach their destination, and for that reason, bus drivers do their best to move forward in the middle of a road that seems impossible and challenging. Wheels can barely keep moving in these terrains, but willpower cuts through mud and slush, rain and ice to accomplish some of the most amazing feats on the planet. Number 10. Monster jumps. For many people, danger can be much more bearable when faced with their family, and the Godfrey family has taken these words to heart. They have rallied around one of the toughest competitions in the world. The off-road jumping challenge takes competitors to go at full throttle and leap huge mounds of dirt over a distance of several meters in length. The Godfreys managed to keep their vehicle in the air for nearly 61 meters. The feat earned them a record, but it wasn't the only one they achieved that day. Another member of the family accomplished a similar feat with a semi-trailer truck and managed to keep it in the air for 25 meters. The family celebrated the astounding feat and seems determined to continue achieving equally daredevil and terrifying titles. Number 9. Impossible competition. Mastering the art of truck driving isn't something you achieve in a few days. These monstrous titans of iron and metal are like untamable bulls. The voluptuous size prevents them from maneuvering with ease, but that doesn't seem to be an obstacle for these truck drivers. The recordings were taken at an international competition in which participants from different countries were trying to achieve the title of Best Driver by performing stunts that would seem impossible at first glance, but not for them. These men managed to make their trucks do otherworldly moves. Most of them almost went really wrong and caused a serious accident, but the precision of the pirouettes allow us to enjoy what is, without a doubt, an exhibition of extraordinary talent. After evading obstacles, parking in millimetric areas, and performing impossible-to-replicate moves, the competition resulted in the winner being the IBECO brand driver, a man who could probably tackle any trail without breaking a sweat. Number 8. Climber behind the wheel. It's no secret to anyone that climbing a mountain requires great skill and prior training. But now imagine how difficult it could be to do it aboard a car. What started as a simple assumption has become a trend. And now there are numerous fans all over the world who get into their Jeeps and perform the most absurd feats you can imagine. Drivers defy reason trying to climb ultra-steep mountains, vertical slopes, and endless hills that seem impossible to master, but with a little effort and power, these drivers have conquered them. You're probably asking yourself, why do they do something like this? The answer is very simple: because they can do it. Drivers see the impossible as a challenge, and this has led them to climb mountains we all thought impossible. Number 7. A record that's hard to beat. Recently, the automotive world was surprised by one of its most controversial and mind-blowing records. The man in charge of achieving it was a Finnish driver, Vesa Kivimäki, a passionate man who enjoys driving his BMW in a very peculiar way. At more than 186 kilometers per hour, this driver manages to make his car move forward only on 2 wheels, tilting most of his body upward and maintaining a balanced position that seems impossible at first glance. However, it's real, very real. The Guinness Book of World Records recognized this amazing feat and included it in its pages. Number 6. Parking in style. For most drivers, parking their car isn't a particularly easy task. quite the opposite. Parking in a tight spot can become a real headache, but now imagine doing it with the incredible style of these drivers. Dubbed parallel parking, this competition brings the most intrepid drivers to measure their skills in an international competition. The rules consist of parking the vehicle in a very narrow area without any braking or movement. They only use the inertia of the vehicle and make sure that the speed and steering wheel movements position the car in the right place without causing damage or destruction. Needless to say, the competition is only for professionals, and achieving this feat is worthy of a world record. So don't feel bad if you don't manage to park with such style, just concentrate on doing it moderately well. Number 5. Climbing to the sky. You may not know pilot Ho Pin Tung, but after you discover his most impressive feat, you'll never forget his name again. This reckless guy faced not only a road with 99 sharp turns, but he decided to accept a challenge that hundreds of pilots don't hesitate to refuse. It's truly absurd and terrifying. To understand it, you have to visit the Heaven's Gate Arch in Tiananmen Mountain, a legendary place formed by 999 stairs on a slope that inclines from 45 to 90 degrees. The challenge seemed virtually impossible, but Ho Pin Tung disagreed with this claim. The daredevil driver accelerated with the full power of his vehicle and at top speed went up the 999 steps. The slope steepened faster and faster and threatened to overturn the car and end the driver's life, but this didn't happen. Ho Pin Tung managed to reach the top of Heaven's Gate and make the way back in reverse in just 22 minutes and 41 seconds. To date, he has been the only person to achieve such a feat and is undoubtedly one of the most absurd and amazing drivers on the planet. Number 4. An eternal legend. When it comes to achieving the impossible behind the wheel, there's no doubt that we must talk about Michael Schumacher, the legendary Formula One racer who conquered absolutely everything. And when it comes to him, everything isn't just any word. The remarkable racer won 7 championship titles, had 91 winning records, 155 podiums, and 68 pole positions. In addition, he holds a record for the fastest laps, and together with Hamilton, he has become one of the most representative figures of the Formula One industry of all time. This is certainly no small feat, especially when you consider that they have always been accomplished behind the wheel. Number 3. The speed of sound. Not all of us are ready to drive a car like the one created by this British team in the 1990s, but driver Andy Green climbed into the legendary SSC model to break all the records that existed to date. As soon as he stepped on the accelerator, the vehicle reacted with precision and in less than 10 seconds was already moving at a speed of up to 1,227 kilometers per hour. That was the first time the speed of sound was reached. It was something never seen before. To give you a better understanding, the fastest conventional aircraft don't exceed 700 to 800 kilometers per hour. However, the SSC overcame this barrier and became one of the fastest vehicles in history. Although, as you can imagine, its stability was extremely difficult to control, and it only served as a test model to experiment with the power of its engine. The vehicle is currently out of circulation and is parked in a museum in England. Number 2. Driving backwards. It was already taking a while for one of the most reckless and unusual feats of the automotive world to appear. We refer, of course, to the challenge of driving backwards. Driving in reverse is a whole competitive genre that subjects thousands of drivers to absurd and surprising challenges. In India, for example, this has become almost a national sport. Thousands of people enjoy daredevil drivers who ignore the meaning of danger and subject their vehicles to truly extreme stunts. Such is the fame of this country for this type of driving that many have adopted it as a way of life, although they have also been forced to pay numerous fines for their ingenuity. So it isn't something recommended if you don't want to live outside the margins of the law. Number 1. Flying and driving. Some people take their dreams too far, and this driver decided to break all the boundaries of safety and decided to do something we would all label as impossible. This Australian stunt pilot decided to perform one of the most intrepid and dangerous challenges in the world. He climbed into a light aircraft together with his motorcycle. The plane ascended to the heights right up to the point where the clouds caressed the wings of the aircraft, and then what you are already imagining happened. The pilot threw himself into the void on his motorcycle. As he fell, man and vehicle began to make extraordinary turns and pirouettes as the fall brought them closer and closer to the ground. Only at the end of the trip, when he could see the danger ahead, he detached from his motorcycle and deployed his parachute, thus avoiding a terrifying death. By the way, if you were worried about what might happen to his motorcycle, you have nothing to worry about, as this one was also equipped with its own parachute. 0-0. Everything seems to indicate that when it comes to absurd and impossible stunts, the best thing riders can do is not plan ahead and improvise on the fly. A clear example of this can be found in this video that has captured the attention of social networks. This truck driver is behind the wheel of a huge machine. The rear ramp occupies practically the entire length of the road, and when facing a sharp curve, he allows himself to improvise on the fly. The vehicle evades danger and moves forward normally, leaving its load almost static while the rest of the vehicle moves downhill. Then the power of traction does the rest. The ramp follows the truck, and what seemed like an impossible pirouette becomes child play in a matter of seconds. Images like this show us that human beings can break the molds of logic. What seems impossible can cease to be so thanks to human skills. And if you'd like to discover the story of some men and women who defy what we all thought was unreal, then you'd better join us in the following videos and witness the impossible.